Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you've been enjoying the week so far and finding yourself along the way following that full moon. Holy heck, that full moon. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how many of us were quite ready for as heavy of a hit as it ended up being, but here we are. We're making it through. We're getting there. And it's only going to get better from here. So the long and the short is this. On good old Tarot Thursday, we like to draw cards for everybody. If you throw in a gift, a donation, or something by my PayPal, then we'll be super happy to do you a bigger reading. Otherwise, it'll just be one card. Oh, let me just write this down real quick. One card for free, or a mini reading for gifts or PayPal. There we go. Get that in there. Boop, boop. All right. So, no good for me to sit here without something to talk about. So let's get a card on the screen and let's get started for the day. Just sort of a general energy card to start everything off. What do we got happening? Well, the general energy is going to be the three of swords. Oh, good old Three of Swords. Emotion cards aren't very well suited for air energy, but you know what? Sometimes that's just the way that things are going. We know that we hurt, we know that we ache, but we're not quite sure necessarily where the pain is coming from, but we know that there is some wound that exists. When we start dealing with emotions that have gone from being just a feeling into being an actual thought process for or against ourselves, now we're running into a bigger problem. Because that emotional pain is now becoming a habit, a steady wound that needs to always be addressed, taken care of, and managed. But you can't really heal a wound by leaving a knife in a heart. At some point, you have to remove that knife, you have to remove that wound, and start healing it properly. But if we've put it into our head that this wound is part of who we are as a person, that healing process is long, far way off. So if you're kind of feeling a little bit of a weird state, especially after that full moon, honestly, everybody seems to be in a weird state. You need to take some time to really look deep, look carefully, and understand where is it that you've been wounded? Where is it that you've been struck? Where is it that that knife has been plunged into you that you're not necessarily taking it out? Sometimes it's something that somebody said a year and a half ago, and you're still living in that feeling. You're still living in that energy. Hate to make it really blunt, but knock it off. Why does somebody get any power over your mind or over your thoughts at any point in time? It is your mind. You control the thoughts within there. And if a thought is stuck in your chest that is keeping you from feeling your fullest, happiest self, you need to remove that thought. It's the simplest things sometimes too. I don't have the money. I don't have the food. I don't have the rock-hard, gym-built body. Little things that give us a sense of lost confidence or lost capacity. And as long as we're doing what we can to make sure that we're moving those out of our head, things get a lot easier, things get a lot better for everyone involved. So it is Thursday. Thursday cards, you can ask for one for free, or if you want a mini reading, send in a gift or a donation to Envy Stanier at PayPal. If I don't get an immediate request, I'll throw up just another random card in just a second here. But I do need consent. I can't just draw cards for random people walking in the door. So if you want a card, you got to tell me that you want one. That's the rules. That's the way the game goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. So next on up, let's see what we got here. Next energy that's going to come up for the random flow, the Sun card. New life, new beginnings, new possibilities, new energy. The right energy specifically. Sometimes we need that little bit of life poured in over top of us. We can't do it entirely on our own, but we need that encouragement from outside to shine in and make the change and make the shift happen for us. And so, connect with your sun. Connect with where you are getting the energy to continue what you're doing. And maybe it is quite literally the sunshine outside. They say in the Yukon, everybody needs the D, and they ain't talking about the Dickin, they're talking about the sunshine. Because we all do need that vitamin D regularly, especially in the winter up there. Because it's honestly, 3 hours is the longest day. Ain't much in Whitehorse. Go further north and you don't get any sunshine once winter is in its fullest. Inside the Arctic Circle, there is no sunshine during some days of the winter. How then are you going to make sure that you have that warmth, that life, that energy shining in to encourage you to grow in the right direction? All life on our planet requires that energy. It requires that vibrancy. It requires the heat and the very nature of the particles themselves that are shining out before us. Different forms of sun may exist from person to person. In some businesses, you have an individual that provides good direction, good strength, good focus, and that individual helps you to shape the new ideas and the new possibilities for that business. It's a good energy to embody. Sometimes it's a particular person in the family or friendship group that ensures that everybody else is always being encouraged to their next best state. And that's the key here. The sun is there to encourage us into a better form and into a better possibility. You can't grow on your own, but through the power of the sun, you can grow into something amazing. And it's in this way we start to recognize that all life has to work in symbiosis. We can't just have plants randomly unless there is assistance from this outside energy, this outside form. Allow the external energies to shine in and improve your condition, improve your lot, and get you moving on to better form. Here comes the sun. Do, 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 do. Here comes the sun. Let it shine in. Let it be all right. Let it flow for you properly. Again, it is Tarot Thursday, so if you want a card, all you got to do is request one. Single cards are free. If you want a mini reading, send in a gift or send something to my PayPal and we'll definitely get you all hooked up. If I don't get an immediate card request, then I'm just going to draw another random card. Again, I need consent before I draw for a person's energy, because who wants to be read without their consent? That just seems creepy. So, if you want to give me permission, I'll read you a card. Otherwise, we'll just draw up another random energy. Next card, random energy coming up. Going with Radha. I'll be honest, Radha is one of the characters in this deck that I really haven't studied enough of. What I have picked up is it's about the vibrancy of music, energization of rejoicing, celebration, having that capacity to go out and really take the joy of the day and share it with those that are existing around us. Fire energy in general is supposed to be about our own personal expression and our capacity to share what energy we have and what flows we have with people around us. And so when we bring our gifts to the surface and demonstrate them for others, we find ways that we can better unite ourselves with other people's energy. For example, if I am a musician and I play music for a large group, a large crowd, then I can find myself sharing a great gift, both of emotion and feeling with these other people. This is the nature of a performer. They're there to share a feeling, a thought, a message, not by just verbally telling it to you, but by demonstrating it to you in some skill set. So, if it's musical, it's pulling out the instruments and having a good time and making sure all is well. If it's more the flow of dance, I was at a dance recital for one of the small towns nearby recently. And not a lot of people enjoy interpretive dance because they don't understand what's being demonstrated. Having constantly been around dancers, though, interpretive dance is really, really kind of cool to me. The way that you're bringing about the internal expression to the surface. And dancer to dancer, they understand it great. If you're not initiated in the language that you're being shown, sometimes it just looks weird. Weird exotic, weird lustful even. But if we're not learning the original language or the original understanding, then there is zero benefit for anybody at all, because the performer's not being met at their language, and we're not taking the time to learn that language. So when this character rolls up, it is somewhere in that two-veined approach that I usually go with. There is something that you need to express of yourself to share with the world and see things expand, or even better, you're learning a new language and a new understanding and a new method of expression. And now through this new expression and this new understanding, you can share new ideas with others. You become part of new communities. You become part of new orders. You become part of a new place. Let yourself expand into all the new possibilities that may exist out there for you. I'm going to see if I can do anything about the light situation, because I am noticing it's a little bit dark on the cards. Let's see if we can fix that. Alrighty. Quite. Let's try this over here. If I move that there. Kind of better, kind of not, but you know what, we'll figure it out eventually. Anyway, next card. If anybody is interested in a card, again, card requests, single cards, absolutely free today. If you want a mini reading, then you'll have to send a gift or a donation to my PayPal. And if I don't get a card request immediately here, then we'll just draw up another random energy and see what we got coming up in and around the world. Next request going in 3, 2, 1. No request. Let's draw another random card. Next card coming up is the Two of Swords. Two of Swords in this particular deck is defined as peace. I will sometimes argue that idea. The Two of Swords is often about trying to find that decision between 2 points. And so when they talk about peace with this particular deck, sometimes I wonder if what they're thinking is that you have to make a choice in order to come to peace. A possibility that without putting the work and effort into making that decision, you may be pushed upon in a particular direction, particular path that you don't necessarily feel is built for you. The power of making our own decisions and our own choices is one of the most sacred and powerful energies that we all possess. It's free will. Free will has to be respected. Free will has to be honored. And so the Two of Swords is calling us to recognize that power within ourselves and to let ourselves make a choice. Push our energy into a direction and decide, this is what I'm going to do with my flow. This is where I'm going to send it, and it is going to be good. It is going to go well. It's going to go appropriately. For no other reason than I was the one that chose it. Every person on the planet will go out there and look for the right answer. But truly, the right answer is the one that feels right in your hand. It's the one that you know within you is correct. And when you hear this right answer from others, it just sounds like common sense. It almost sounds too easy to be true, or too direct, too, shall we say, simple of an answer. And it is supposed to be that easy. It is supposed to be that quick. Because we all instinctively know what it is that we're going towards. The only thing that holds us back is something that distracts us from our own choice. When we are distracted from our own choices, when we're distracted from our own decisions, things tend to fall apart. So, be at peace with your own decision-making process. Choose for yourself the life and path that you want to live upon, and don't let anybody else disrupt you from that order or disrupt you from that direction. A lot of people are so set on wanting to do the right thing that they forget to do what is right for themselves. The right thing collectively might not necessarily be the right thing for you. Be ready to stand apart as necessary so that you can find peace in your own decisions. So it is an open table today. I have no requests at this time. If you would like to put in for a card request, all I need is your consent, your permission. With your permission, I can then draw you a card. A single card is free on Thursdays. And if you are interested in a mini reading or perhaps something a bit more in depth, you can shoot me a gift or a donation to my PayPal and we'll get you hooked up. If I don't get a card request right away though, I am just going to draw another general energy and we'll just chat about whatever comes up. Hi Morella. Thanks so much for joining the show and thanks for the follow. Let's draw you a card for sure, for sure. Morella. You're coming up with the Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords in this deck is defined as interference. Interference is strange. Very, very strange. Hi, so viciously sweet. Stick around if you can. I'll get you next. Marilla, something is blocking you from seeing clear choices, seeing clear options. They're muddling the waters and preventing you from getting to the truth. Sometimes what's happening is specifically somebody thinks that they know what's best for us. And so they're trying to reach out over us, trying to assist, trying to help. But damn it, their helping is fucking us up. They're screwing us up. It's like my mom and my sister. They thought they were helping me by demanding that I leave my cat behind when I moved back down south. And instead, my cat ended up dead. That wasn't helpful. That was an interference of my free will. And the end result was a life form was lost. So, you need to figure out where the interference is coming from, and you need to lessen the value and importance of their opinion. They're not looking to help you based on your needs. They're looking to help you based on their expectations. If you can bring about your honest desires and truth and present that as your direction, they then have a choice to either support you or acknowledge that they're trying to stop you. Through that truth, the interference should be lifted. If it's not, and it's overbearing and overpowering, that's a good time to kind of inch away. And I use my mother as an example on this one because sometimes you have to inch away from very important people. You have to put them at an arm's length because you know that they're not going to understand what you're going through. Love my folks, but they don't have a damn inkling of spirituality that I can relate to. So I would never discuss these kind of things with them. I have a lot of friends, excellent people, most of them, but they may not have an understanding of philosophy, or they might not be big on computer sciences. So I can't expect advice from those that are not initiated in what I want. It has to be my goals, my dreams, with support from those that know the path, and not just people that think that they know better than me. Nobody knows myself better than I. Nobody knows you, Morella, better than you know yourself. And so do not allow any outsider to dictate your life to you when you can instead be in full control of your path, your destiny, and your journey. Liberation, expression of free will is necessary to break away from that card, and do not leave yourself at somebody else's mercy whatsoever. Good luck, Morella. So Viciously Sweet is going to be up next for the next card. Thanks so much for the card request. And then there's no one else on the waiting list. So if somebody wants to put in a card request, you're welcome to it. I need your consent before I can draw for you. So please, oh please, throw that down and I will draw you a card. No worries, Mirella. Have fun. Take care. Kick butt. Chew bubblegum. You're going to do awesome. So Viciously Sweet. What do we got for So Viciously? Okay. Coming up for you with the Four of Stones. I like the Four of Stones in this deck. In other decks, this card becomes very manipulative. In this deck, it centers less so on control and more so on recognizing self, your abilities, your capacities, the power of the earth flowing through you in a very natural and very prominent way. It has to balance into 4 pillars: the pillar of the body, the pillar of the mind, the pillar of the heart, and the pillar of the soul. And when we master these things and keep them close to us, nothing else can interfere with us. We have to get our aces in the place that they need to be. For body, it has to be the right diet, the right food, knowing your own body and utilizing it to its best. For your mind, pursuits and studies that enhance you. Not everybody needs to learn about basic sanitation, but everyone might enjoy learning a little bit about sewing, cooking, or something else that feels very personally vital. And once we start to get a sense of how we want to run our system, we build our temple around that. Whereas the other card we were just seeing talked about interference, somebody trying to manipulate into the situation, this one I would take as more you laying out the foundations and knowing that you can build on them confidently, feeling safe in those spaces, feeling safe in that time. And so look at each corner, each pillar. What are you aiming for with the body that ensures that it's your style, your way, your method? Or in the willpower, do you really want to stay in only one place for the rest of your life? Or is there something bigger, something bolder, something greater that you want to pursue? As you prioritize your method and continue building on it, the skills develop, they grow, they become sufficient to all your needs. You don't need to do anything besides keep your cards close to your chest and play them to your benefit. Work your system your way. I sometimes talk to people about their homes. I like to do house cleansings, changing the energy flow within a household. And after doing that, I have to teach them how to reassert their own energy into that space. Your bedroom has to become that temple of worship to yourself. Your bathroom has to be that place of healing and self-care. Your kitchen, sustenance, and maybe even communal gathering. And when you take this mindset that this household isn't just a building, but is literally a temple to you, then you can fill that space with all of your power, all of your energy, and make it the perfect home for you. It's in that vein: body, will, heart, mind, and embracing all of these energies to make your space flourish with what you have to put into it. Nothing is meant to hold you back from this. You are taking this opportunity to let your light shine and become your best form. Kick butt, basically. And another thing I like to mention with space, especially around the feminine constructs, the feminine decides what stays within its space and what doesn't. In this way, the feminine, I think, is the superior form, because proper masculinity offers and then just keeps moving along if it's not being embraced. Feminine holds the ground, holds the space. Take full authority through a feminine approach and assert that that environment is there to nurture you. It's there to encourage you. It's your space. Fill it. Thanks for coming out, making a card request. If you got any friends that are always keen on these things, you can definitely share this video on over to them. Invite them in to come check out Lopik's Magic House. We're going to keep drawing cards in just a minute here. Of course, a single card is free on Thursdays. And if you want something a little bit more, throw in a gift. A gift or a contribution to my PayPal is always appreciated. Readers like to eat, guarantee you that. Without any requests on right now, we're going to wait for a few seconds here and see if a request comes in. And if not, we'll pop on up and throw the next random energy card up on the screen. All right. Next energy in 3, 2, 1. Another random energy card it'll be. Hi, TJ. How you doing today? Did you want to put in a card request, or should I do a random energy card? Just see what's all out there. I did it. I drew a random one. The Emperor. This is what I get for talking about masculine, feminine energies for even just a split second, because now I've got, a symbol placed in front of it. Wonderful. If you want to write in the question, I'll get it next for you, TJ. The Emperor quite often is given this idea of authority, leadership, power, and control. Look at how great this king is and how they're kind of coming out there to kick butt and chew bubblegum. But there is no authority in an emperor without something to look up to it. I've had a few bosses, managers that understood this concept. As managers, if you don't have staff, you don't have a job. You don't have a purpose without people to lead. In the same way, the emperor doesn't have a purpose without people to lead. And even more to the point, the emperor has no continuation without children. The purpose of the emperor is to find the best harmony of being a father to the next generation. And every human being has that potential. When you give ideas and give thoughts and give encouragement to children, nurturing and keeping them safe in space is the feminine dynamic, but the masculine dynamic is that little bit of a push that gets them going into something new. Hey, you're crawling. Let me go sit over here a little bit further away and see if I can make you crawl towards me. And through that, you're encouraging a shift in behavior in the child. By adjusting yourself, you're meeting the child in a new way. Teaching a kid arithmetic, or teaching them advanced particle physics. Wherever it may be that you're pushing through them new knowledge, new insight, new understanding, that is when you are living in the emperor energy. If the intention behind that is to push through them towards your goal, then it is a false emperor. If you're pushing through them for the communal goal, that is a true emperor. Because there is no kingdom without population of people. There is no king without people to support and encourage growth into. There is no father figure without a child to look up to that father. We all have moments where we can experience this briefly in day-to-day life, the opportunity to be a teacher, a mentor, a guide. But it is ultimately down to us to trust and encourage that that energy is going to be given healthily. If we're not doing it with the intention of the community, but only intention of ourselves, that's dark, that's scary, that's terrifying. Don't live trying to possess other people as slaves or subjects. It'll never go well. Hi, Sugarfoot. How you doing today? TJ has thrown in the request. Wonderful. Career and finances. Oh, man. Sustainable is kind of the key question right now, isn't it? Let's see what we got going on there. And Janet, if you wanted a card as well, let me know. I always need consent. Can't ever assume I have consent, but you've sent some gifts, so if you want a card, let me know. TJ. Give me something a little bit easier to work with. God, you're cruel. You're cruel. Okay, so when I first drew, I got the Father of Wands, which isn't necessarily a straight answer. I asked for confirmation, I end up with the Moon, which isn't a straight damn answer. So there's a specific part of your question. Will you have a sustainable job within the next week? I don't think so. Given the energies of the Moon and having to go through processes and flows and everything else, it gives me sort of this sub-instinct that there's still steps to be taken before you actually get to that concrete job, concrete place, which sucks. I've had to do 4 or 5 interviews for jobs before, and to be frank, there comes a point where you start to wonder if you're just being tested, dragged through processes for no real benefit, and just to kind of torture you. It almost feels like at some points, and that I get a little bit with the moon. It's having to go through the waxing and the waning to get to the final conclusion, and the roller coaster isn't necessarily ending. So I don't get a sense of stability coming out of that right away. However, and that's what I was about to dive in on, the job hunt and getting yourself out there. Oh, sorry, that's Kara. Hi, Kara. Yeah, me too. Honestly, getting yourself out there and engaging yourself and everything, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. When we look at how we present ourselves, sometimes we have to take it from a different approach. This particular deck uses Brahma as an example for the Father of Wands to highlight the creative potential of the King of Fire. You have to create something that is received by either an employer, or society that is for your benefit. But what you're creating is the question, right? Is it about a skill set? Is it about a personal trade, something of yours being shared to the world in a new and unique way? Where is it that your personal style can go into things to become its fullest potential? I don't do well as an employee of businesses. I prefer to be a contractor, a T4A position, they call it in Canada, because from there I can dictate a few more of my terms and have a little bit more liberty, freedom of movement. I prefer self-employment and self-autonomy as much as possible, because I know that when I'm trying to work with others, certain things that just always create friction. In knowing this about myself, I know what I have to create that's different from everybody else. If I am going to go and apply towards a business, it has to be in that vein of approach so that it works for my needs to them. I can't just go to somebody and tell them what they want to hear. Instead, I got to go to them and just give them the straight cut. This is what I've got for you. This is how I'm going to change it. You either want me or you don't. And if you don't, it's not me that's the problem. It's you not wanting my changes to impact your business. You're not wanting my changes to come in and overrule you. This, I know, doesn't necessarily give great choices. I do think you have an amazing skill set and confidence, though. You cannot let that get shaken, shattered, or broken. Keep pushing forward. It is going to work. It is going to work. Remember that what you have might be more than what some of these places want. They're not going to waste time hiring you because they'll expect you to not be long-lasting. They'll expect you to be difficult on the training process or something else. If you can find something that keeps you very much in control of your time, schedule, and capacity of action, that will probably, I think, work the best for you. Apply to management. Assistant management or full management, whatever works. That would be sort of my vibe, especially with Brahma coming in. The role has to be in creation, establishment, direction. Something that allows you that ability to really step in and do something that really shapes a physical, tangible thing in front of you. If we're thinking industries, that kind of meanders through all kinds of business, sure, but it also touches on construction, fabrication, elements of that sort. Don't give up hope. Keep your confidence with you like an armor, and remember that your skill set is good. It's just a period of time where people don't want a challenge when it comes to their employees. They want it to be simple and easy. And I've noticed this especially in the last few years. People are very anxious now compared to how they used to be in hiring. I got hired once with no experience in an industry, and when the wife of the restaurant owner said, "Well, how do we know he can serve plates?" He literally looked at her and said, "Well, he's got 2 feet and 2 arms. I'm sure he'll do fine." And yeah, honestly, that was a philosophy back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, they got 2 feet in a heartbeat. We can use them. Nobody gives people a chance like that anymore. It's become far less accessible to have an easy slide in. And so you cannot undersell yourself or compromise yourself by saying, well, I think I can make it work. You can make it work. You have the skills to make it work. Be assured in your delivery. Good luck, TJ. I don't think I've got any new card requests coming in. Odin. Yes, I love these cards. It's the Heimdall Tarot from, I can't remember the artist's name anymore. Slight redepictions of some of the Rider-Waite energy, but they draw a lot from 4 different cultures, being Egyptian, Norse, North American, Indigenous, and Indian. And so there's some really neat symbolisms that come through as a result of that. A lot of fun that way. No worries, TJ. Always happy to help and assist where possible. So card requests have to be very clear. I don't just draw for random people walking in because that's an invasion of your privacy. We like consent here on this show. And so if you want a card, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to set you up with one. Thanks, TJ. Much appreciate. Much appreciate. Thank you. Getting through those live goals and getting those things up. Little steps. Thank you all for your support. Helps us to get out there. Helps us to help more people. And honestly, that's the big thing. I know tarot services can be ridiculously overpriced for some places. I watched a gal charge $500 for 30 minutes once while I was working at the Russian tea room. And if people are going to pay it, I totally get it. But that's not money that all of us can drop. So if you want quick advice, quick assistance, every Thursday, I'm here for it. Whatever you need, we'll try to find the direction for you. I do also do private bookings. I also teach tarot. Love teaching tarot. If I can make a person a lifetime tarot reader, that's sometimes even better than doing it for them. It's the whole adage of, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, they could potentially feed themselves for the rest of their life. Give people skills is the end game here. Prepare them with as much knowledge, as much ability, and as much capacity as they can take, and the whole world gets bigger, healthier, and happier for it. We can reshape our world just by being educators and givers to one another. And that's the goal. I don't have any immediate card requests, so let's go on to a general energy card. I love talking about the Lover's card. I'm pretty sure every other reader on the planet hates it when I start talking about Lover's card, but I personally love it. Because everyone wants to talk about fancy love, soulmates. Oh, it's an amazing connection. It's going to be so wonderful. It's going to be all hot and bothered and intense and everything that you've ever wanted out of a connection. And when I hear this coming out of a person's mouth, I'm kind of like, what is this nonsense? What is this dribble? Why would you mislead a person so badly? Well, because when it fucks up, then they come back to you and say, what did I do wrong? And that's the fishing approach of a lot of readers out there. Rather than just being truthful about what the card is about, they phrase it in a way that is appealing to a customer and makes them stuck on the idea and on the concept. So if your reader is telling you that the Lover's card is telling you that there's a new love coming and it's going to be amazing and wonderful, walk away. That reader is not reading energy. That reader is reading desires, and they're trying to teach you to crave them. That's not healthy. The Lover's card is about choice. The choice between what is good for you and the choice between what is not good for you. And sometimes we need our little kinks. We need our dark desires. We need our little bit of fun. Life would be very, very boring if we only ever did healthy things for ourselves. Skydiving would never be an option. Random orgies wouldn't be an option. An ability to go out and risk danger for the adrenaline and the excitement wouldn't be an option. And being able to recognize that something might not be a good idea, like peeing on an electric fence, probably not the smartest thing that you can do. But because of that excitement, it gives us something that feels like life. And that can't be ignored. And so the Lover's card is about choosing between what you know is probably good for you and choosing to go with your desires, your lusts, your cravings. Both can be healthy because both require you to exercise your free will and make a choice. So the Lover's card must always be about choice and having the power to make a choice. To go quick educational style about this, here's the Lover's card and the Devil card, side by side from each other. Now, funny thought, if you take the top Major Arcana card and the bottom Major Arcana card and just sort of pair them off one at a time, when you get to the Lovers and the Devil card, they actually come together out of the top and the bottom at the same time. You'll also notice, especially in the Rider-Waite, there's sort of this, let's see if I can take some of that light off of it. There is sort of this consistency in the imagery. Big figure up above with all the energy, and then two people down below. Both cases, the people are kind of reaching to each other, but you'll notice here, they're reaching while looking upward. Here, they're reaching while looking across the chain, across the trap, across the imprisonment. The Devil is loss of choice, loss of control, loss of that personal autonomy. And this is why you have to remember that the Lovers, the opposite of that, must remain about choice. It's not about you're about to get your dick wet or your pussy stuffed. It is very much about you have to make a choice. And if you don't make the choice, you may end up underneath the Devil card over here. Devils are all good fun sometimes. You know, some people enjoy having a collar put around their neck and being led around by a leash. In the bedroom environment, sometimes that's really enjoyable. But day-to-day life, not so much. And so always keep the power of choice in your own hands. Know what is healthy choices for you and know what is unhealthy choices for you. And live within that self-control. Otherwise, you're giving up the most important part of being a living human being. Hi, Tina. Thanks for joining the show. And thank you for the follow. It is open lineup right now, so if somebody does have a card request, you can throw in. A single card is free every Thursday. I just need your consent, because if I don't have your consent, I sure as heck shouldn't be reading you. If you do want something more in-depth or more detailed, send in a gift and let me know. Or you can also shoot something over to my PayPal, and I do private bookings as well. Tina's given me permission. Let's get a card for Tina. Tina's energy today. Daughter of Cups in the North, specifically Bridget of Ireland. TJ is asking a quick question. I'm going to answer this really, really quick first, Tina. Somewhat. The Hierophant is supposed to be about dogma, rigid beliefs, and sort of an asserted consciousness. I know it's not the same quite in pairing, but sometimes I'll look at the High Priestess, where the information is coming from divine through their mouth to the world, versus the Hierophant, where it's coming from the dogma, the idea of the concept, sharing out the energy. The Hierophant I usually tie towards like corporate empires, governments, churches, papacy, absolutely. And there isn't necessarily a choice or a lack of choice. There's a creed. There's a dogma and a path that must be followed based upon that dogma. And so you don't get a choice if you've made that oath. If you choose to walk away from that institution and choose to walk away from that oath, then you can claim the power of the Lovers and break away from a Hierophant that may be performing like a devil. But it's the dogma that you want to see first with the Hierophant. The rigid expectations based upon creed, Bible, or a sense of religious or moral authority. the people in the Hierophant card are turned and facing the individual. And so remember, it's that service towards that throne where possible. Tina. So Bridget of Ireland, she counts as the Daughter of Cups in this particular card. And there's two main messages that are supposed to come up with her. First off, there's the message of spiritual abundance and connectivity, recognizing our capacity to flow with our energies between others and ourselves, and how that may relate towards family, ancestors, the history of where we came from. It is my core belief that everyone is capable of some level of spiritual gift and working, but bloodlines and family lines quite often direct that energy into a very, very specific path. And especially with Aries energy, when we're trying to discover identity and the best expression of ourselves, sometimes leaning on what the family line has done before gives us that starting point and that energized idea of what we can do. Stanier is a rock cutter back in probably the 13 or 1400s. And so my family energy centers in on cutting through stones. As a literal translation, okay, I would probably work in a mine if it was a long time ago. But in the modern connotation, what kind of stones could I be cutting through? Stone hearts? Absolutely. Love doing love readings, love working with relationships. Prefer not to destroy relationships, but I really, really do like cutting through people that are holding back on their feelings and on their flows. Cutting through stone walls that imprison people. Liberation. And by recognizing that tenant in the family history, I can bring it forward to something different now. And every family is different. Every flow is different. Sometimes it's not even about the trade name. Sometimes it's about very much that, well, no, all the mothers in our family eventually leave the man because the men suck. And so there's a family legacy centered around that. Or all the women in our family are the authority, and the men know this. They come in and respect our capacity and work with us to sustain it. So looking into family legacy, family history, and finding some of the pieces that tie to your identity from that would be one of my first takes on this. Your spiritual truth and identity is within the bloodline. The other way I sometimes like to take it is the receptivity of the emotional heart. If I remember correctly, Bridget was married into a royal situation and helped to create a stronger dynasty as a result of it. So it may reflect a new connection, romantic or platonic, that is allowing you to put that energy into somebody's development and change, encouraging them to rise up to new levels and new evolutions, and making it so that you have a new flow of possibility coming out from you. Remember, you are the space that decides what is and isn't accepted. And so if you feel like what you're being offered doesn't really fit with your space and your time, then you can walk away from it. You don't have to stay trapped to it. You don't have to force yourself through that moment. Unlike the Page of Cups, which is a little bit awkwardly shoving their cup in everybody's face, Bridget has always had the tone of receptivity. If she does not want to accept the energy, she won't. And allowing her that capacity of rejection is super key in evolving yourself to next form, next possibility, next truth. So, amazing things for you, Tina, as long as you keep that control and that capacity within your own hands. As long as you make it entirely about how you can decide what is exchanged and how the flow is going to work through you. Have a fantastic day, Tina. If it is new love too, have fun. Enjoy it. New loves are phenomenal. One of the coolest things that you can get yourself into. And being Aries energy, it's going to make a lot of steam. That steam and that motion and that movement, that's what's important here. Being able to go through the experience and come out richer and fuller for it on the other side. Thanks for the card request, Tina. So it is an open list right now. If anybody is interested in a card, all I need is your consent, and I am more than happy to draw for you. Otherwise, I'll just draw up a random energy in just a few minutes here. No worries at all, Tina. And if you do want something with more details or more depth, you can always book an appointment with me. I've got a little bit of time later today, or possibly even tomorrow morning or afternoon. Or if just here right now you want a little bit extra details, a little bit more than just a single card, you can always throw in some gifts or shoot something over to my PayPal at Envy Stanier. Now, I'll draw up a general energy. Lunar. Hi, Lunar. Okay. Let's get you. You threw in some gifts. Let's get you a couple here. Lunar. Brahma. Give me 2 more, please. 5 of stones. And give me 1 more, please. An Aeon. So, change, transformation, metamorphosis, and big judgments. Big decisions. And how do we make decisions? By taking all the information that's available and seeing sort of the truth and the nature of it. Water falls, soothes the earth, causes things to grow. Eventually heat takes those things and burns them up and releases that energy back up to the sky. And within this endless cycle, new life is created for everybody. The destruction of the old, the creation of the new. Onward and onward in constant rotation. When we recognize that life is on this rotation and life is on this flow, then we start to realize that we are just a piece of a process, a cog within a wheel that is constantly moving around us. We find the best place for us to be contributors to that process and do our best, be of the way. How did they say it? The squeaky bearing does not get the the squeaky cog gets the grease. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. The thing that is not working properly is where the focus of attention and time is going to go into. And so make sure that you're looking very clearly at the things that just don't quite mesh, that just don't quite fit. Fix them, replace them, correct them, get them onto the right path, which, frankly, let's be honest, that's what you've been doing for the last 2 weeks anyway. But now we're getting closer to the wheel. We're getting closer to the situation. We're getting closer to the process. And that's where good old 5 of stones is going to come into play. I've always had a mixed vibe with this one because material difficulty would not be my first take with the 5 of stones. Typically, I go in the direction of generosity, community support and involvement, coming together to make sure that a situation is sustained properly. And that is exactly what is going on with you. But when we find what it is that needs to be cared for, our initial response is to be overwhelmed, to be confused as to how exactly we're going to integrate this into our regular process. How do we make a life around this? How do we shape new course and new direction for this? I'm of 2 minds. One, part of you may be saying, why am I doing this so late? Why is it so close to the finish line and that we didn't have this in mind long ago? And the reason for that's quite simple. Time had to pass to bring us to this moment. You could not have found any of this sooner. You could not have changed any of this sooner. It is happening here and now because this is the time for it to happen. And you are on course, you are on path, right place, right time. As it transforms over onto the other side, then you start to realize that a new path has now been opened up before you. A new energy, a new form, being able to strike out with something similar to confidence, but it's going to be more in the vein of purpose. Purpose is where the Father of Wands is coming into play. Don't run away, Crystal Ball. That's not what you're supposed to do. Purpose. Brahma creates a universe and brings it all into good order and then says, I have done my work. And then he fucks off. Easy. You are going to be the Brahma. You are going to work very closely, very closely with Lily, and you're going to prepare and shape with her the new life that she is going to live. It might take a year, it might take 3 years. We talked about that a little bit before. How much longer before it's actually full freedom time. And during the time together, it will be you that sort of lays out the path and direction. When you feel it has been created enough, then you will imbue Lily with the energy of Vishnu. Vishnu centers on maintenance, care, and the ongoing endurance of what has been created. Brahma made it, Vishnu continues it. And through that process, through that flow, things improve for all company. You're closer to the finish of this phase and this process. Start putting together some of the things that you want for that next process, for that next flow, that next place, that next state. Because if you walk into it without ideas, well, it's useless. But the goals and dreams will come very quickly. Put them together into a roadmap, and you'll find yourself dancing in the most beautiful of places quite quickly. Brahma does not fail in the creation. It will come through 100%. Hello, Ellie. Every Thursday, what I do is if a person wants a single card for free, I will absolutely do a single card for free. I was working at a place once called the Russian Tea Room, and I watched one of the other readers there charge $500 for 30 minutes. And that kind of put me off a little bit. It didn't seem ethical, it didn't seem moral. Especially when they showed up the next day demanding more advice and needing more time and saying, we're not paying $500 again, you're going to help us right now. And she weaseled them to $200 for an hour, which I don't quite understand that either. So if a person needs a single card, I will absolutely do it for free on Thursdays. But if somebody wants more details, more information, more breadth, then send some gifts in or shoot something over to my PayPal, and I'll definitely do a little bit more. I also do private bookings, training, education, life coaching. So there's lots of options with me to help develop, as it were, and make sure that what you're learning becomes yours to use for the rest of your life. I'm not looking for lifelong clients, as wonderful as they are. I'm looking for people that are happy for their lifetime. And I don't think you can be happy in your entire lifetime if you're stuck going to one person for advice for the rest of your life. Better that you find the advice in yourself. We've been discussing things. Yeah, good. Because while it may not seem like the right place to be doing that kind of planning, it gives hope. It gives the sense that you guys can move in the right direction and have yourself liberated and not just go back to what was, but go back to something different. I'm not sure if she's listening to this or not, but going through this transitional period means that no matter what happens now, when you return back home, home is not the same. It wasn't anyway, but there was some struggles in trying to go through that process of grief. Now, that process of grief is somewhat being thrust upon you, and using this time to plan a new future, a new direction. When you go back home and it's unfamiliar, it's no longer, oh my God, I left and lost myself. It's, I left and I found a new way through the forest. I left and found a new path for myself. I left and I'm going to go get something new out of it now. Good. Because why not get the silver lining and the silver goodness out of every moment? You're there, you might as well. You gotta enjoy it when you can. Okay, Janet. Janet's next up on the docket. It is open list after Janet, so if anybody wants to throw in a request, now's a good time for it. Janet, thanks for the gifts earlier as well. Let's get you a few here. Interference card has been playing around for a few people today. Four of Wands, home, comforts, and stability. Daughter of Swords in the South, Isis. I like Isis. Isis is always a fun one. Oh, what's it like being the outsider looking in on a situation that you know you can't actually involve yourself with? It's not fun. It's not easy. But as a witness at a distance, sometimes you get a unique opportunity. The observer always knows the big picture, but they have to be willing to step as far back as possible to get that perspective and to get that angle. And so the Isis encouragement here comes from understanding the bigger process that's at hand and doing what you can to help facilitate it. Osiris, kind of like a Jesus figure in the Egyptian bits, goes out, gets completely betrayed by his enemies and torn up and cut in 4 pieces to be spread across the world. Isis goes and finds these pieces, stitches Osiris back together, and gets him back to work in the underworld, doing what he's supposed to be doing. She complies with the function, not of her own desires, but of the needs of the universe, so that others can be improved and put on that right path, put together, put in order, put on course. Ensuring that the home environment and the home space is a place of safety and security. It's about recognizing which 4 walls are around you and how you can utilize them best. Some homes are styled entirely in the satisfaction of successes, the comforts of the world. Others are styled more in the nature of compassion between family, support for one another, encouragement of one another. Regardless what it is that brings the people together, the energy of home is one of community, belonging, knowing that we are in a safe shelter and a safe temple. Allow yourself as much as possible to support that environment. It may not be that you have the answer, but in taking a look at that bigger picture through Isis's eyes, you'll realize what is going on through the actions of others and be able to find a good way to kind of lean in, support, and assist that. The crappy part of that is it's not necessarily your way, and that's where there may be some underlying frustrations and tension. Somewhere there will be a disagreement. You will think that it needs to be left 90-degree turn. Somebody else will say, no, left 45-degree turn will be just fine. And no, we're not going to agree on this. We're not going to find a common ground with it. And that happens sometimes, especially when people are strong personalities and strong attitudes. But remember, it's starting with Isis here. You have to be working in support of the bigger picture, not towards your own goals and dreams, but towards the goals and dreams that this other participant of the home environment is working towards. So slow, careful actions. Make sure you're getting a sense of what their end goal is before offering direction towards it. And be prepared to fall into a witness perspective. Hearing, relating, and trusting the other party to make it through because you've given them the empowerment they need to make it through. And it'll all be okay in the end. It will all come out just fine on the other side, as long as it doesn't become a battle of wills, a battle of control, or a battle of dominance. Keep it light, easy, and direct, and good things will come through as a result. When the feeling of frustration comes up during the conversation, ask for 5 minutes. I just need 2 to 5 minutes to think this over and collect myself and get the right feeling back on what I want to do. The whole family's going through it, let's be honest, Janet. And sometimes we want to feel like we can tell them the exact right thing, but there won't be an exact right thing to say. And so just trust that your presence alone and support alone is good, and go with the flow of those that are leading the charge for themselves. Don't hold them back, but push them through. Absolutely. Let's get Kara a card here. Sumac, hello. Wonderful to see you again. Kara, what do we got for Kara? Kara coming up with the Father of Stones in the West. Old man. Old man. Beautiful energy, beautiful flow. Laying out a course for all of his children to follow along in their time and in their way. Not really worrying about what footsteps are around or with, but just knowing that the footsteps themselves will tell the story and give the path and give the direction. Stable, confident, self-assured, and just being right in that place of themselves. When we talk about the different elemental energies, fire for willpower, water for emotions, pentacles, they become usually about body things, structure things. And so a lot of people like to think about, money, finance, and health. I like to think about lifestyle, methodology. Some would argue that a creed or an oath, like saying that you're going to be a Knights Templar, that would be a devotion of will or heart or mind. No, it's a devotion of your body. It's a devotion of who you are to that entire machine. And sometimes the direction ahead of us is unclear until we remember what machine that we're working towards. That's where I'm not sure 100% what direction to take it. If it's you specifically, then it's about cutting your own path, blazing your own trail, and not letting other people undermine your confidence in what you know to be yourself. You know your truth, walk your truth. If it is about another person, though, then I think it's either something you're seeking or something that you're needing. I am not a fan of making a person dependent upon another in their lifetime. That has to be a personal choice. But if you are going to choose someone to be dependent upon, wouldn't you want them to be mentally and financially stable, secure in their identity, not easily swayed by pretty dreams or pretty girls, by ensuring a commitment to themselves and what they've built? They become solid rock and support for you to live alongside with. And it's somewhere along one of those two lines. Either you got to pick the better person that can be a part of your process and help you to find the right direction through their commitment to it, or you not worrying about the outsiders and their opinions. You know your truth. You don't need somebody else to support. You can do it entirely of your own volition. If it is a guy, if it is some kind of relationship, the commitment comes in time. It won't be there on day one. It won't really be there on week 5. But after 3 months of seeing consistent, constant behavior, then you will see it and know it for its truth. It's just got to go through that time to get to that point. I like your energy on this one, though. Like, regardless how it breaks down, you get ahead into the lands and the places that you're supposed to be, either on your own or with a community and organization that is quite meant for you, a place for you to learn, grow, and develop yourself to that next higher state. Thank you very much for the request today, Kara. Sorry. I don't have a talented tongue for languages and names. I tend to mix up my things quite a bit. So that I would believe. And to be honest, if it is a relation to your old man, specifically your father, that would be starting to show a pattern to me. So one of the ways that I work with my readings is I have to listen to the people when they tell me their responses to learn new patterns. Certain cards have come up to mean certain things to me over the time. And old man, quite often, yes, I do get someone relating it towards their father figure, father energy, and modeling their father's behavior. So I have to agree that there may be something in that. And if that's where you get that independence walk from, yes, Live it, enjoy it, relish it, because it is an inherited gift that would definitely do you well, take you far. It is an open table right now for requests, so if anybody wants to give me consent to draw for them, be more than happy to do so. We do private bookings as well, and all kinds of different teaching, life coaching, and other things are available. Love that. Oh, the good masculine examples are getting a little bit rare in the world. So if you've got one, and especially one that was within your family, you have access to something way, way over and above a lot of people in this world right now. Specifically, masculine energy started to think that it has control over space. And as soon as masculine tried to fill space, masculine became weak. Masculine doesn't fill space. Masculine doesn't fill anything. Masculine just provides an opportunity, an option, or an idea. And it is to the feminine to decide if that will fill the space or not. If the feminine says no, it's rejected, and it's on its way. Love that. Love that. And get them teaching other men, other masculines, how to be better. The more we start to teach better masculinity, the healthier we'll ever get through life. And yes, you can tell Lily that is absolutely, well, it would be a young whelping. It wouldn't necessarily be a baby anymore. But this was one of the original artifacts, one of the original items in the collection. I've got, I think, we went through some losses over the 13 moves. My flight at its height was about 15 dragons. I think I'm down to about 8 or 9 now. What? She's never watched Eragon? Oh heavens. Oh heavens, please show her Eragon. That's gonna be amazing. One of the cooler dragon movies, for sure, for sure. The book series is quite incredible as well. And I will always appreciate film 100%. There are some purists that say that the books were way better, and there is definitely more books than there is films, but the film itself is just, it's delightful, it's cute, and it's got some of my favorite actors. So it's just, you can't miss that one. It is an open table right now for card requests, so if anybody does want to put in, then you're more than welcome to. I just need consent. If I don't have consent, I can't draw for you. And if you do want something a little bit more in-depth or detailed, just throw a few gifts over my way or a donation to my PayPal account. I'd be happy to go a little bit longer for you where possible. If I don't get anything shortly, I am going to draw another random energy card in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Next random energy. Playing with a lot of the king cards today, it feels like. I've been seeing the Father of Cups, King of Cups on the bottom constantly. And now we've got the King of Air showing up on the top side. So, tones of masculinity. Maybe that's just a result of us talking about it earlier, but how often do we really stop and consider what it is that makes the different forms of masculine healthy? Each one of them touches on a different nature. And for example, the King of Cups, it's emotional nature. So it's about being able to maintain a confidence of personal feeling, emotional maturity, and allowing yourself to express emotions in a give and take dynamic. Yes, it does. All the swords are based upon the Egyptian philosophy. And so, yeah, Isis being the page, this one being the king, and the styling and everything else. Osiris ends up being the knight, and Nut the night sky and the earth ends up being the queen. So the Ra specifically is about concepts of direction, path, purpose, and using knowledge to enhance the potential of all others. The Ankh, the symbol of life and continuation, so that one can allow an understanding of life through them, and life being exactly that, everything. We all seem to think that life and death are two separate things, but somewhere within the mystery of the Ankh and the lessons of it, we realize that it's an exchange back and forth between the two. There is no actual separation between them. The Father of Pentacles, we saw earlier as well, old man. Stability, confidence, knowing your place in the system and the structure, and doing it to the best that you can. Without concern of what's outside of you, you know what is your estate, what is your property, what is your space to manage and look after. The Father of Fire. I have to provide insight and awareness and confidence. I have to create something that inspires others to pick it up too and continue it over and over and over again. Ra might teach us the intelligence of it, but Brahma will teach us the wisdom of it, why this is a better way, and trusting us to take it and move it forward from there. All of these continually come back to acknowledging the space, recognizing what is best for it, offering it, and then carrying along. The masculine cannot possess the space. The space is always feminine. And so the masculine can provide an idea to the space, but if the space rejects it, that has to be allowed. And it is my belief too that every individual has that combination of masculine and feminine dynamics within them. So this is something that we can all develop skills and understandings towards. We can all develop that nature of noticing and realizing that this space is not under my influence. So this space, I'm going to add what I can to it and then carry on. I'm going to respect this space by saying to them, thank you for letting me visit. Can I offer you this? No? Perfect. Well, thank you for letting me offer anything at all, and even speaking here. I think I will continue my journey now, and onward we go. The more practical understanding of this is some people can look upon others and let them be. Some people cannot. A lot of people see, thinking back to the old days a little bit here, but if you used to show off your ankles, that was considered scandalous. Now, what does it matter? An outsider looking in upon a person showing their ankles really doesn't have any right to comment or act against them. But because we like to believe in social justice and common attitudes of law, we give ourselves this empowerment to invade upon them and demand a change. This is a constant struggle in day-to-day life because every person has something that they fear. And when they see what they fear, they think it's being forced upon them even when it's not, and it becomes an internal struggle. Instead, if we all just step back away, we would notice that, no, that person isn't trying to convert me. They're literally just standing over there, living their okay life. Let's let them live their okay life. Let's let them be themselves. In Christian terms, it's technically the way you're supposed to convert the nations anyway. You don't go out and force them into baptism. You go out and show how happy you are. They get curious on why you're happy, and now they want to learn from you. Teach through example, and you will always have people following your path appropriately. This is the ultimate path for the masculine. Walk Spread your knowledge. If it is useful, it will be taken from you and used. If it's not useful, it will be ignored. But you just keep walking and you just keep sharing. That is healthy masculinity. Hi! I'm not even sure what I'm going to go with on the symbols there. Slightly wing-dingy. Can I call you Melly? Wonderful to meet you, Melly. Thanks for joining the show. It is open for requests right now, so if you do want a card, all you got to do is put in a request, give me consent so that I can draw for you, and I'm very happy to draw one card for anybody, no charge or anything like that. If you do want more details though, or if you want something a little bit longer, feel free to throw some gifts my way, a little bit into my PayPal, or you could always book an appointment with me as well. Sumak, I got you on top for that, and then Melly, I'll get you on the list here as well. Sumak, thank you for the hanging lights. Those looked really, really, really cool. Let's get you a couple here. Sumak. I'm putting that one to the side because that's the third time that it's shown up now. Okay, I'm always feel weird when I start getting multiples, and for that reason, I've sometimes literally taken cards out as I go, but like, that's a repeating card. That's a repeating card. That's a repeating card. So I just want a minute here to do a little bit of an extra shuffle for you and see what's kind of going on. Aww. Nothing like falling asleep to a big comfy couch or something good like that. Yeah, I tend to trust if there's a pattern at play in the world that it's going to be a pattern that shows up within my spreads as well too. Okay. I don't know if you like to play with numbers as much as I do, but 8 of Cups, 8 of Stones, 2 of Cups, but you've got 2 8s. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So do we have 4 4s hiding in this in some weird sort of way? But that's just me playing with numbers, and that's just me playing weird with the energy, right? The stories are quite similar. It's just a matter of how you want to approach it. Do you want to approach it with the heart, or do you want to approach it with the mind? And what I mean specifically is the double up ones, 3 air, 1 earth. Sorry, 2 air. 2 air, 1 earth. In the second set, 2 cups, 2 water, 1 earth. So the earth energy, the earth dynamic is definitely one of the critical pieces here. And in this particular one, it's about fine-tuning of our systems, of ourselves to the best form and the best nature to evolve ourselves forward, as it were, into the full completion of ourselves. And with the 8, it's about fine details and perfectionism, being able to work between the lines to kind of get that best nature and best flow of ourselves. With this one, it's the confidence and being assured that we have the tools within us and we just need to use those 4 pillars of strength to really come up to our highest state. So across the board for your cards, we're seeing constant sign about stability, form, structure, and making sure that it's evolving so that it's in your hands, at your level, not somebody else's design for you, but your design for yourself. And carefully, cautiously built designs. We're talking masterpieces of ourselves. My gut tells me it relates to your understanding of yourself as a spiritual entity. There's something that's been introduced to you, shown to you, or triggered within you, and now you're trying to find a way to integrate it in a way that it feels like it's properly you. And specifically, it seems just connections and working with others maybe has helped to spawn this. And now that form and that structure is being retooled. The retooling is not comfortable. Remember with the first set, It was the Eight of Swords. Interference, being stuck, being trapped, being contained, having things held back on yourself. In the Eight of Cups, that restriction isn't necessarily... The restriction is a personal choice. Rather than somebody throwing an idea on you to trap you, it's you choosing to submit to something that traps you. When I usually describe the Eight of Cups to people, I say, well, you've got 8 cups, and it should divide equally, 4 and 4, but for some reason, someone or something else is always getting extra. And there's a reason for their extra. There's a reason why they need that one extra. My first example is, let's say you've had a hip replacement, and now your entire hip is metallic. Congratulations. You can't go through certain screening devices without setting them off anymore. You can't do certain sports. You can't go skydiving ever again. In certain situations, if a vehicle is too low, you're going to injure yourself trying to get into that vehicle. You might have to sell a favorite car because otherwise it's just going to cause problems in the long run. Or you live with a vegan. The vegan refuses to have any meat in the house whatsoever. You've been a carnivore your entire life. Do you give up the meat in this household because of this other individual, or do you force your needs and your desires into the moment? And ultimately, it's your choice. You do not have to embrace or accept anything that you do not feel is right. Nothing has any right to be forced upon you. Plus, it's not wand energy we're dealing with. We're talking air and water. We're talking feelings and thoughts. So somewhere in there, your thoughts tell you that this isn't great. This isn't what I'm looking for. This isn't what I wanted. And your heart is telling you that you're not quite getting as much for it as you should be. You know your value, you know your place, you know your potential. So why would we sell it short? Why would we make it less than what it should be? And as we start to put that priority into ourselves, our goals, our dreams, our stability, then we start to find all the missing pieces to come together and give us the capacity to rise up, above, and away from the moment. On the one side, it said embracing healing and being stitched back together to become your best self and your most potential healing self. With this one, it's a liberation to go out and explore even further than what you have right now. Kind of like having one teacher that tells you this is the way and there is no other way. And I get exclusive pathism. I totally understand it. It doesn't work for me though. And that means it probably doesn't work for some other people as well. We're too curious for our own good. We're going to go find answers whether your teacher likes it or not. So this is why I make a really, really crappy Catholic, because I spend way too much time researching and understanding and recognizing the similarities between all the religions. This is why I say I'm a pagan Christian, because I'm not going to frickin' haggle over the name of Jesus. I'm going to look for Jesus in all of his forms, in all of his ways. I can't do that if I'm giving too much of myself to something else. And in my case, it was a church. It might not be exactly the same for you, but there's somewhere in there where a person's needs prevent you from reaching new potential. And you don't have to stay. You don't have to comply. You can even find ways to do it around them that's peaceful, compassionate. But you have to allow yourself control for yourself. Your empire, your kingdom, your pattern, your autonomy. It is yours. Use what is yours to its fullest potential. Embrace your greatest possibilities. I'm glad it hit, Sumak. It's all I can ever ask for. And honestly, I know you can kick butt. So it's just a matter of rising up and over that challenge and rising to that next bit. Melly, I do believe I've got you coming up next. Hi, Sam. Hope you're having a most fantastic Thursday. Melly, let's get you a card here. Very happy to provide, very happy to supply. I am. It's an alright Thursday. Organized chaos as always. But we've got the clarity, and through clarity comes all answers. Melly. So we got for Melly. I think you're still in the room, right? Melly coming up. You thought you were overthinking and now you're lighter? Okay, then no, you weren't overthinking. It was what you thought it was. It was what you feared it was. And if I can be that affirmation and confirmation, I'll be honest, my favorite work to do is confirmation work. Because if I can confirm your feelings for you and give you the confidence to trust yourself, that is my favorite way to empower people. That is the best way to empower people. I shouldn't have to save people. People should save themselves. And so if I can give them that belief that they are worth that they have that, that's the best. So no, if you're lighter, if you feel like that was the nail on the head, good. I would rather give you that infusement. Mama Bojo. I've just got one up on the screen for Melly right now. Let's get talking about that. And then, yeah, we'll get you up next, Bojo. Very happy to be here, Sunak. Melly, you've got the Seven of Stones coming up. Now, Seven of Stones, they title it as failure. I think that's a dumb word. Failure, to me, is the inability to, or the lack of desire to continue through a process. Specifically, when I look at Seven of Stones or Seven of Pentacles, what I think about is chasing your own tail, going in a circle. I have a pile of laundry. I move the pile of laundry into a corner. I stack it all up. Oh no, I need in that corner to do something else. So I take that pile of laundry and I just throw it all over the place. Now that I've done that, I've got the thing in the corner fixed. I pile my laundry back up. But my laundry's never really getting done. It's just constantly being thrown around from point A to point B. It's never taking a step forward. Sometimes we forget that we can't just shift a pile back and forth, but we got to take it to the next forward place, the next step, the next process. As we do this, things actually get done and we don't feel so overwhelmed by their energy and overwhelmed by their form. And laundry is my favorite example. House maintenance, house cleaning, also a good example. But it can also apply towards taking care of ourself, our energy, our form. If it does, Mama Bojo, then just tap into it. I'm totally okay with that. Sometimes we have to look at, no, we're not feeling very good today and we drank a lot of milk yesterday. Maybe we're lactose intolerant. Maybe that isn't good for us and I have to change my diet. Right now, every day when I wake up, I'm supposed to take a protein shake. I forget at least half of the time. But when I do it, my day definitely does have a better flow, better function. I'm not trying to stab people in the eyeballs by 3 p.m. I have the energy that I need to get through the moment. And so instead of ignoring the hunger, the appetite, we just go and we fix it. Instead of looking at the problem and saying, I'll move it over for now and deal with it tomorrow, we just have to go at it, fix it, shift it, finish it. One of my favorite things about this card is this symbol up here. Those symbols, those 6 lines that you'll see on a lot of my cards here, those relate towards I Ching. It's spelled I space CHING. It's a methodology out of China, and it centers around Confucianism and Taoism. And it's really, really neat in its structure of poetry and symbolism. Specifically, those symbols there, the 3 lines above that are complete with 3 broken lines below, they would describe this as earth over heaven. When is the earth ever over top of the heaven? Never. That's not possible. Everything's upside down. What the fuck is going on here? Why is shit upside down? And that's the key concern here. which makes this combination of 7 of stones and this particular hexagram, sorry, beautiful. Something you're doing is putting heaven beneath the earth and earth too important. It needs to be flipped the other way. Something that is physical here and now needs to be done, and the beautiful dreams and beautiful desires and beautiful direction that we're propelling towards, that will be met soon once things on earth are set in proper order. So, the laundry, the cleaning, the maintenance of the body. We put ourselves into the work and care to evolve and grow. We harvest ourselves in a weird sort of way. I set up a garden box in the backyard. It's an absolute monster. It's ugly. It needs some upgrades. It needs some repairs. But it's going to allow me to grow a ton of carrots, potatoes, and other things this year. It's going to give me sustenance. Instead of hoping for solutions from heaven, I'm going and working with earth quite directly right there. And in a weird sort of way, that's exactly it. What am I neglecting? I'm neglecting my need for fruits and vegetables. How am I approaching it? By putting those fruits and vegetables right outside my back door and ready for care. Take control of your pattern, of your behavior, of your process, of your system, and use that control to put yourself into better lands, better states, better being. That's all it's got to be. Don't just look at the pile as you're moving it back and forth going, oh, well, it's getting better. It's not. Move it, instead of from one spot to the other, move it to where it can be finished and accomplished. Now that was for Melly, but I see it does look like Melly has kind of flipped out. So Mama Bojo, I still owe you a card too. And then it is open deck, open process. So if anybody wants to put in a card request, now is definitely the time. One card is always free on Thursdays, but if you throw in some gifts or some other bits, I'll happily do a little bit extra. Or you're always welcome to book private appointments with me as well. I'm more than happy to do private sessions. Mama Bojo, what do we got? Okay, we've got a lot of cards that are repeating energy. I might actually even go so far as to switch decks pretty soon here, but let's do a couple bridge shuffles first. Yes, you heard that correctly. I will bend my cards to do bridge shuffling. I had a few people look at me like I was absolutely insane for this, but when I first bought this deck... Hi, Sumac. Is your name Melly too? I didn't know that. We had somebody with really, really neat name, almost like Wingding name. And I can't read. I'm going to call it Gen Alpha. I can't read it just yet, but from Salt Lake City, Palladium Melly. I don't think they stuck around for that last card. Maybe. Seems a lot of people were enjoying it though. Thanks, Mama Bojo. Yeah, you all right, because you had it the most recently, and then there was somebody that had it earlier than that. And I don't mind when we get repeating energies, because that means that we are all connected on the same flow, right? Like, we are all one community, the community of Earth. We are all going to have shared energy patterns and shared energy flows. When something moves through the entire consciousness, it affects multiple of us. But each of us might respond to it in a slightly different way, right? And so that's, it's figuring out the different way for each person that is the real secret sauce to reading. And I just go with my gut. I trust my gut. I trust the random chaos of it, and it works fairly well for me. Yes, you did, Lunar. I think you did get the 4 stones as well, yep. And that's when I started doing extra draws just to confirm, or... Actually, it's been 2 hours. I can't remember nothing anymore. But... your starting point is going to be that 4 of stones, Mama Bojo. And that centers around trusting your 4 pillars, trusting your 4 confidences. You look after your body and your body takes care of you. You look after your emotions and keep them in a good mannered way, and it works for you. You keep your willpower reinforced to your goals, dreams, and desires of expression, and it's good for you. And you keep your thought process under your own guidance, under your own control, and again, good for you. You sometimes have to make sure that your own confidence and your own energy is kept as concrete as possible to ensure that there is no outside interference that takes the cards out of your hands and forces it to be in somebody else's hands. And changes in family patterns, okay, or family dynamics, okay? I'm going to shoot straight at this one because I drew another card just to kind of work with it, and I got the Hermit. Do you need to be involved in this? Do you need to be a part of this? Do you need to be mingling with this? If the Hermit's coming into play, and I got to consider it in that vein of the 4 of Stone, then the tone is you're not supposed to be bending to their will. You've got your own walk, your own path, your own course, and they can either choose to come along with you on that path, or they can choose to get lost. You're not due to change your energy and change your form right now. You're not due to go back to their approach. You have to trust your own wisdom and your own style to create what is good for you. Specifically, what's going to bring you satisfaction. 9 of Cups is all about the abundance of fortune. Recognizing our own well-being is paramount, regardless what others around us are doing. I have a habit sometimes of looking for the silver lining in every bad situation. Sometimes the silver lining is a very simple one. Well, at least I didn't die today. Thank Bob for that. Sometimes it's a little bit more than that. Okay, that was awful, but I can tell a story about this later. I learned a few things. It's going to be really fun in my autobiography. And sometimes the silver lining is, well, everything's on fire, but at least I get free coffee and donuts from the medics. Something that just allows you to see any degree of positivity within a bad moment. When we can acknowledge that positivity exists in all things, almost all things, then we can start moving towards it as a sense of direction, confidence. That's where my solution is. And the silver lining changes from person to person. Sometimes the silver linings require a very, very strong dark bend. And those aren't happy things for us to all have to go through. But as long as we recognize that it's just a process of life, it's just what shows up every now and again, we can embrace it as just a lesson, a period to put ourselves first and trust ourselves and our energy. Hermit card says to me, you need to walk this path alone. If the family wants to follow you, that's great. But if they're not going to follow you and they're instead going to try and refrain you from your own movements, there is a problem. This is a period where less involved is going to do you good. If they are having their drama and their squabble amongst themselves, you leave it to them to have amongst themselves. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to. Your light, your wisdom, your power moving towards your goals. Families sometimes cannot see us for who we are, but can only see us for who we used to be. And that's just the nature of the beast sometimes. As we grow and evolve away from some family, we just have to embrace that what comes next, we will create, we will design, we will enjoy, and we will be happy because we made it so that we could be happy. Our satisfaction. Not gonna lie, Mama Bojo. My sub vibe on it tells me that there is going to be something painful with this in the long run. Family ties and breaking from family ties is it's not fun. I'm going to do a personal story time. So, I have gotten into the habit of telling people that I spontaneously erupted into this world. I actually started this back when I was in my late teens, early 20s, and no one believes it. No one at all believes it when quite literally your mother is a teacher in the school system and everybody's met her. As time wears on, though, it starts to have a little bit more traction. People start to assume less because they know less. And so when you say you spontaneously erupted into the world, they assume, oh, so you were adopted? No, immaculate conception. I just popped right out onto the ground one place, and I don't even know who the mother is. Keep it simple, keep it easy that way. I do this for a particular reason. I will never get the acknowledgement or recognition of why I am the way I am from my family. Because for them to recognize that, they would have to acknowledge something that they've done that pushed me into this. To do that means they have to acknowledge their own sin, their own error, their own mistake. And one of the biggest things, especially throughout the 1900s, was the quality phrase, well, we just didn't know. There was no research. We weren't aware. We didn't understand. We didn't comprehend. In short, they were ignorant. Family's ignorance does not diminish your value. Family's inability to recognize you for you is a shortcoming upon them, not you. We are all individuals. If a family is of good health and good binding, it will stay strong and will stay attached. But if they don't have good health, if their connection is built on subjugation, some people will never fall into line with that, and the family will be abandoned. My family is of subjugation. We acknowledge that one person is a tyrant, and we live and we work around that tyranny. I don't play that game anymore, though. In fact, rather than cause a worse war, I just don't talk to her. Any word that I say to her will be said with the intention of causing her strict, direct harm. Because any word that she says to me is manipulation of emotions and direction. Best that there just be no contact, and therefore no untimely demise. I don't need to kill somebody with a heart attack. Walk away, enjoy the space, build your own kingdom. We don't need somebody else to force our path away from what we choose. We need people that see us and help us to understand our path, to respect our path, and to live that path. That's all it's got to be. So from one black sheep to the other, don't stress the separation. Trust that you're moving away for the right reasons. And for all the young ones in the house, don't waste time on it. When you've seen the pattern that is toxic, don't waste your time trying to remedy it, trying to adapt to it, trying to fix to it. If you have seen the same pattern for 20 years, you will see that same pattern for another 20 years. People are stupidly consistent, to the point of stagnant. And when you recognize stagnation, leave. Stagnant things poison healthy things. We don't want to let the poison fester in us and take us away from what could be our best interest. So, best of luck with that one, Mama Bojo. And at the end of the day, people don't want to work together, then they can work on their own. Digging for a general energy just so I can get myself somewhat off this tirade. Truce. I love the Four of Swords in this deck. They sometimes relate to a dynamic of restfulness, peace, being able to kind of fall into a place of comfort with oneself. And especially in the Rider-Waite, it's quite literally a person sleeping. But this deck, they took it in a new direction. They took it in the direction of truce. And the thing that always jumps at me the most on this card is the quill. something written, something signed, something documented, something very, 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 very absolute. If we're dealing with ourselves, sometimes we have to make peace with our own needs, our own desires, our own wants, and we have to be at truce with ourselves. Let's take these garden things I was talking about. I had to go and fetch a whole bunch of pallets from different locations. If I wasn't able to get pallets that day, if I punished myself for that, it wasn't really all that fair. Maybe it was raining. Maybe there was no gas in the truck. Maybe it just wasn't any pallets to pick up. I was told no. And by recognizing these circumstances that affect the situation, I can acknowledge what is my fault and my shortcoming and what is circumstances happening around me. If I go to somebody and say, I'd like to take your pallets, and they say no, I can't steal those pallets. Nor can I be angry at this person for saying they want to keep their pallets. That frustration is just part of the process, part of the moment. And eventually I will find the pallets. This stage of pallet seeking will end. And then I get to move on to the next stage, ripping apart pallets. If you've never torn apart pallets, I would not recommend starting in old age. I'm not a young man anymore. And having lost a lot of weight over the last few years, I don't have a lot of the muscle strength that I used to. So tearing apart pallets that have been nailed together with brad nailers 5 times through one 2x4, it's not going to come apart. I'm going to splinter it. I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to absolutely tear this thing apart. Do I get angry at myself for not having the skill, strength, or capacity to do this? No. No, first off, who puts 5 nails into a single pallet board? That's just dumb. That's just a waste. That's a total waste. And that's not my fault. That's somebody else. 2, some of these boards are literally, they look like they're 10 years old. It's going to snap, it's going to break. I might as well just accept that it is going to break. It's not going to be useful. And instead of taking 30 minutes to tear a pallet apart with a crowbar, well, now I can look at this pallet and say, that board I'll keep, that board I'll keep, and that board I'll keep, but every other board is useless to me. And now I can just hit it with a mallet or a hammer or something else and just break it apart. In the process of making peace with each learning moment, I eventually developed the ability to rise over top of the challenge. All my pallets are now broken down. I even made a fancy little wood shelf so that they wouldn't just be a pile on the ground. It's pretty. I'll take some pictures later today and throw them up on the TikTok, but it's come together. And it all comes from learning through each difficult trial and trusting the next one that comes forward to teach me more, to empower me, to bring me peace and truce with myself. Really, really like this take on this particular 4 of Swords. Okay, Lunar. Good luck. Good luck, Lily. Good things come next. Absolutely good things will come next, Lily. Trust. So when dealing with this particular card, I like to remind people to look where you can find the happy middle grounds, where you recognize your struggle, acknowledge that you're learning, and then accept that learning. Embrace it. That way you're stepping slowly, day by day, towards an end goal. And you're not just saying, screw all this, I give up. You're not surrendering. You're not abandoning yourself to the bottom of a well, saying, I don't have an option besides this. Make peace with yourself and your projects. Life is so much easier after the fact. Hi, Genevieve. Welcome to the show. So every Thursday, I do a Tarot Thursday live. And the long and the short of it is this. If you want a card is free today. A single card I will always offer for free on Thursdays. Because I get that some readers are overcharging out there. $500 for 30 minutes seems a little bit stupid to me. And so I want to make sure people always have access on some level. If you do want something that's more than a card, more details, more depth, I do request, maybe some gifts or something to my PayPal, but I'll always want to make sure that you have access. And so you can always pop back every Thursday and get at least that little bit of push and direction and hanging out even and just seeing what's going on. So if you write out the question, I'll assume that's consent for me to read you, and then I'll go ahead and read you. I can't read people without consent. That's kind of the big thing here. If I don't have consent, I shouldn't be reading people anyway. So that's why I push on it so hard. Sounds good, Mama Bojo. Always happy to have you pop in. Appreciate you too. We all together will make this world better. That is the promise. That is the guarantee. Gonna let Genevieve, there it is. Oh, gosh, love life. Love life is fun. How long you both been married? Good, Mama Bojo. You should go back to your cards. You should go back to your flow. Honestly, it's healthy. 1.5 years. Okay, so we're hitting that 2-year marker. For the crowd, just a thought for you. Something I have discovered over the years. The time periods that most relationships seem to fall apart: year 2, year 8, year 11, year 13, and year 19. If it gets past year 19 into the 20s, you're probably okay. I don't see a lot of people after 20 years of marriage saying enough is enough. But at 19 years, there's a panic point that hits and they're like, screw this, I'm out. Or at 15, 13, there's usually it's related more to midlife crisis and lifestyle changes. And the person's in their late 30s, early 40s, and they just go dumb for a little while, and it destroys the relationship. The in and around the 10, the 9, and the 11, it's again, I'm about to be 10 years with this person. Am I really happy? And they panic. The second one is, I've made a mistake. And they're not quite sure what to do about it, so they just sort of shut off. They just pull away. They just sort of deny it. The only way to get that back together is to create something for it, create something out of it. And I usually, relationships are very complicated in the modern era. You could create something that is the two people working together, like a counseling approach or a therapy approach. Or you could create a new rule set that says, you know what, we understand that we both have desires or wants. So instead of being trapped to this particular style, way, or approach, we're going to let a certain amount of freedom be returned. But that's not for everybody, and not everybody finds happiness going about it in that approach. So my first question, Genevieve, do you want to save the relationship, or do you want to walk away from it? Because my gut tells me that you would rather see this transform and move forward. But how do you make that work when somebody isn't? Okay. Then you have to give him 3 steps, 3 ultimatums. If he does not want to be in a marriage or a relationship anymore, and he is not willing to go to a counselor or a therapist or a mediator, and he's not willing to discuss what's going on with him, then he needs to just leave. Or you just need to leave. If it's only one way, there becomes a question of a battle of wills. And I can't advise you to do anything that's going to take his will away from him. Anybody that says that they'll put a love spell on somebody or hex somebody to make them yours, be careful. Abuse of free will is one of the few absolute no-nos in spiritual reality. You can't necessarily force them into love as much as we would like to. So you guys are now separated then, right? I'm going to pull out my fairy deck. These guys can be really, really, really pointed when it comes to relationships. What's his name? Or his zodiac sign? Throw me a zodiac sign. That's usually easier for me. Because I'm starting to get to a point of this isn't worth it. But Virgo man, leave, run, get out. Leave, run, get out. This man is manipulating you. This man is seeing you as a piece of meat for him to feast upon and use for his own energy. You need to cut this off. You've been gaslit. You've been hit with a narcissist. You've been hit with the manipulation to think that you need this individual and that he has to be in his life. There's some huge red flags on this one. Death in the Maiden is basically the rundown that the maiden is receiving attention and care, they think, from death. And the words are filled with love and compassion, but it comes with a bony touch. It comes with a chilling touch. And that chill is making everything very weird, very uncomfortable. Death, on the other hand, yeah, I love her. I love her. She keeps me warm. She keeps me happy. She does what I tell her to. She feeds me. She feeds me with everything that she has, and it's not enough. I'll always be empty and I'll always be half a man, but she gives it to me. She gives it to me real good. She's giving me exactly what I want, and she I love so much. Just like a wolf loving a rabbit. Without that rabbit, the wolf would never live. I love it so much. I need it so much. And once that first rabbit is dead and gone, I'll go find another rabbit, and another rabbit, and another rabbit. This isn't a healthy situation. This is a danger zone. Take the child and run. Don't look back. Go for sole custody. Challenge them to be completely different than what they're being right now. But this is a huge red flag for me. Whenever Death in the Maiden comes out, there is only 2 cards that I will use to absolutely say destroy a relationship. And this is one of them for me. The other one, believe it or not, is a reversed Ace of Cups. I won't even say that the Tower is a guaranteed breakup card, because there's still a possibility within it. But if somebody sees you as their prey, if somebody thinks that you are their food, they don't see you for the magic that you have and the energy that you possess. They're just trying to see you as something to be used, leaving you in this sense of sorrow, pain, and suffering. The Lady of Sorrows coming in to basically tell you that this is not the way to be. You notice how the unicorn's also right next to the Lady of Sorrows, right beneath her? You need to get on that magical unicorn. You need to get yourself away. You need to set yourself free. You need to be your own light, your own spark, your own energy. You have to break free on this one. And ask Sam. She was listening to me just the other day basically dance around a bad situation just to make 100% sure before I actually said the thing. I'm not dancing on this one quite the same way. If Death in the Maiden is showing up, I trust that symbol. That is a symbol to run away. That is a symbol to get free. That is a symbol to save yourself. I am very, very, very sorry about that. But you're going to have to create something completely new for yourself and go for a completely new direction. Do not try to reclaim that relationship, because it's not you claiming the relationship. It's your predator reclaiming his meal. We don't need that. Relationships are a weird thing. A proper relationship, the masculine should submit to the feminine. And there's 3 reasons why I see this. First off, I'll always say that the feminine is the space. The feminine is the space in which things occur and happen. The masculine can bring ideas to the space, but it is to the feminine to decide if it's going to be kept or not. So I think the feminine should be given the authority over the space, over the environment, over the form. 2, let's say you do have a kid with somebody. Every woman that has given birth knows that she has given birth. There is no man who has created a child that knows with certainty that child is theirs, because the child doesn't come from the man's body. The child comes from the woman's body. The woman knows for certain who was there at conception. They know for sure that that child has come out from them. They are fully connected to it. This is one of the reasons why men are so weak, because without confidence in knowing their own family lines, there was a heavy paranoia and skepticism that worked through all the male population back in the day. We're fearful, naturally fearful, because we know that this vulnerability exists and we will never acknowledge it with anyone else besides ourselves. And so if a man truly wants to know that a family is his, better treat the woman right. If you don't have her confidence, you may not have the fatherhood to her children. And you will never know unless she chooses to let you know. Finally, a male is only as useful as what they can inspire. Leadership and authority isn't really there. Not normally, but we're so big on fads and celebrities and this king and queen concept of our life that any person that looks like they're cutting a trail and blazing a path, we assume that there's something special. They're not. In fact, trailing a blazing pile of crap might make a lot of light, might make a lot of attention, but it's stinky and it's not really going anywhere. The masculine can't be the primary authority or form. It has to be subservient to something else to reach its fullest potential. Therefore, the feminine is the stronger and more primary of the 2 energies. The masculine must work to complement the feminine. Each individual has both energies inside of them. You just got to learn how to use them in tandem at the appropriate times. As we get further and further into that development of skill in the world, we'll start to see way better things starting to come through for all people, because all of a sudden we'll see a balanced approach to our expressions rather than this tug of war thing that's going on. Embrace that balance, and good things come through as a result. So Genevieve, you are the superiority. You are the authority. You decide what happens now. Between you and the child, it is for the 2 of you. And there is nothing this boy can do, nor is there anything the boy should be able to do to pull you back in. Be fully free and liberated. So, where are we at here? 12:15 now here on the Mountain Time. Is there anybody in the room that has not gotten a reading yet or a card yet? If there is anyone that's lurking that wants to get a card, we're going to start doing the last call for cards pretty soon here. And of course, a single card is free. If you want more details and want more depths, you can always throw in a gift or a donation. I do also do private bookings as well, and usually an hour, but maybe half an hour, give or take, depending on the flow. Hi, Joanne. I thought I saw you sneak in. Wasn't sure if you were still here. Let's get one for Joanne. Joanne. Woo! I like the Six of Swords. This deck took it a really different direction because the Six of Swords is usually seen as the refugee card. Moving across waters away from a place that no longer served you, no longer helped you, no longer improved you, and getting yourself instead into a place where you can flourish, where you can enhance and grow and become more than you were. And taking that idea of discovering new opportunity for oneself and making it a science thing, it took me a while to kind of settle with that energy on this card. But life is an experiment. All life is an experiment. This experience that we're having is an opportunity for consciousness to experiment with itself and see, what am I? Who am I? And where am I? And so as you are moving now into new understandings and new insights, you get to remove certain things that were taken just on superstition or faith and start seeing the principles and the systems that created them and made them real in front of you. Instead of being, shall we say, at the mercy of unknowns, you're going to find yourself equipped with the tools and the systems to take the unknown and quantify it and qualify it. This is the trick to spiritual awakening. All of us feel spiritual energy, but most of us respond to it on instinct and subconsciously. You are moving through a path, and it starts, I think now in about, 10 days? 25th, I think, was the day that they had marked for you. On that point, it goes from being a theoretical into these are the practices, the behaviors, the rituals designed for you, with you, to reinforce that you are in control over this entire perspective, that you are the authority, that you are the experimenter, that you are the alchemist. You are the one that decides what thoughts carry across the river with you and which thoughts can get thrown overboard to sink to the bottom and disappear. The power, the capacity, the ability, what some spiritualists would call faith and devotion, you are going to learn to call method and practicality. You will see the mind no longer as a random string, but rather as a combination of all your thoughts, your opinions, your dreams, your design. In your boat you will go with only the things that you deserve to carry with you, and across the river to happier places you are on your way. You've been making good steps so far this month, and it's a long journey. That's why I wouldn't let her rush it too quickly, because this process has to take at least 28 days, maybe a little bit longer even, because it's redesigning the habits and behaviors that exist within you. And when you do, you won't even see that old coastline anymore. There won't be that place that you had to leave. There won't be that darkness, because that darkness, whatever didn't belong, is now underwater. And whatever did belong is now integrated fully with you. You're on your way, Joanne. Congratulations. And good things will come through as a result of that. One more time, is there any last requests for cards today? Any last desires for some quick insight? If not, totally get it. And I'll be back again, of course, next Thursday. I might even be back around later tonight. Who knows? My life's chaos like that. But what is a guarantee is you can always find me here on TikTok. Direct message if you would so like. I am also on Facebook at Lopic Magic House. And at some point I'll get on top of all my video uploads. TikTok Thursdays are supposed to be going up on YouTube for people to catch a replay of. And so if you find me on YouTube as well under Lopic Magic House, you should be able to catch all the cards from today and your card specifically somewhere on there. I'll try and get that working right away here. It's supposed to be a maintenance day anyway. I appreciate each and every one of you coming in and being a part of the show. It does not exist without your participation. So thank you very much for being here. I hope that wherever you go and wherever you are, you find what is meant for you in the way that you were meant to be blessed. Thank you. Have a wonderful night. Goodbye for now.